play just enough so we don't get knocked off, right?
That's it.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. Welcome to LoveBabz, LoveTalk. That's Harry Droves hanging out from Waterbury, aka the Mars. Today is the Lovecraft Show at about 9:30. We're gonna be joined by Ife and Markeisha and Harry. And then I invited a couple of other people, Harry, but you know the hour might not work for them. But I did send them an invitation so they could join in the conversation because there's a lot to unpack. Harry, did you see the thing on the news last night? They um they landed a spaceship on one of the asteroids for like 2 seconds. Like it landed for a few seconds to take a picture or whatever, like test the ground, and then it took off again. This is gonna take 3 years to get back.
Oh my God, 3 years. That asteroid might hit us next week.
Yeah.
So in 3 years it'll come back and say, "Be careful, asteroid coming." No, but yeah, you gotta love it, right? So we do have the technology, right, to go to these asteroids that we may think are dangerous, and I mean, we possibly could nudge it so it changes its orbit. Um, we have all different types of ways now to protect the Earth. The only problem is that we miss some of the asteroids because we can't cover the whole. We can't cover Earth, the universe in its entirety and where these asteroids are coming from. So a lot of times we don't see it until 2 days before or something like that, and that's not enough time to send up.
What? They do it in the movies, Harry.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, yeah, we could enlist Bruce Willis
and Will Smith and any of the Avengers. Where are they?
Oh, the Avengers. I forgot Thor. Thor could just lightning it.
All of them, Harry. All of them. The Marvel characters, the DC characters. Come on.
By the way, they were supposed to be working on a Black Panther 2. I wonder now that Chadwick.
Well, you know what? The sister is going to be the Panther. They're going to follow the rules of the book, the comic strip.
And in the book, she became the Black Panther?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Suri.
The sister, not the love interest.
No, the sister.
Huh.
Yeah, so that makes you feel a little better, right?
Well, I was thinking.
I think they've already filmed it, actually.
I was thinking they could, since it's fantasy, they could do Michael B. Jordan never died, right? So
did he die?
Well, yeah, he dies in the first Black Panther. Well, they show him watching the sunset in Africa, and he's him saying, "My father always said," So, and they
maybe they did make a Black Panther too. Ooh, I'm seeing it now. I'm looking at notes, Harry.
Yeah, so I'm I was thinking they could bring back Michael B. Jordan, saying that Chadwick actually saved him, and he was like in a coma or something. It's fantasy. They could do whatever they want. So, yeah, and I also was wondering whether Chadwick actually filmed it, since he was filming everything while he was sick.
Wow. No, I mean, I guess you can't do everything. It takes a lot to film them kind of movies.
I know, but the guy was kind of a real superhero, right?
Yeah, because he was working.
Yeah,
I think his last body of work is the one that's the Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I think that's the last body of work.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. It will be interesting I forgot what's the actress name that plays the sister. But she did a good job, and she's cute and all of that.
Oh yeah, the young actress.
Yeah,
Yes. Her name is Letitia Wright.
yeah. So she has all the qualifications.
And people want her to be the next Black Panther, which would be hella cool. Can you imagine what that would do for the little black girls?
That's what she has all the qualifications. Really cute.
And she's smart and she can fight.
Yeah. So that would be an interesting thing to see. Um, I thought Chadwick was an excellent Black Panther.
Well, oh, wait a minute, Harry, because remember, you didn't think he was beefed up enough.
Well, I didn't think, but now I understand why.
Okay.
So
he was pretty buff, Harry.
well, I was comparing him to Michael B. Jordan, who was.
Oh well, yeah. Yeah.
He was ripped. So
yeah.
So that's what I was comparing him to. But now I understand why he was going through chemo and radiation and all of that stuff.
Yeah, but he was still in excellent shape. Like
he was.
And when he made Panther, that was movies are always 2 years ahead of it, right? Like, so he probably just got diagnosed when he made that film. You know what I mean? So today we got a long day ahead of us, Harry. I've got a long day today. Jeff and I are doing Criminal Justice Insider. What's today's date?
The 21st.
The 21st. So Jeff and I are doing the Women's Consortium conference. And we are doing a live segment of Criminal Justice Insider for them with one of their guests.
Today?
Yeah, so it's going to be like a little hour conversation at their conference, which is a virtual conference. And then, let's see. We've got, I've got some Planned Parenthood stuff to do. And I've got the debate. The debate at 7. But before the debate, Harry, I am moderating the conversation, the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority New Haven Alumni Chapter conversation around why voting matters. So I'm going to do that from 6 to 6:45, and then I'm going to run across the internet to jump on over here.
So what aren't you doing today, Babz? I was counting on you actually saving the world today.
Oh, I might. Let me see. Let me look at my calendar, see if I can fit that in. And they might have to suffer one more day, Harry. Thursday might look like the likely day. Wow. So we'll see.
That's too much.
Oh, it's too much to be doing?
Yeah.
I don't know, Harry. I mean, too much is given, much is, too much is, it's a lot it is a lot to do. It is, but, I can do it. It's all right. The good thing is all virtual, Harry. So, and I can do all this in my kitchen.
And it's in different states, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you can just throw on a backpack on each different episode just to show that you are coming from a different place.
Like, oh, I just flew in. I don't think people are ever going to go back gathering in spaces, Harry. It's going to be empty conference rooms all over the world.
It's so convenient. Of course, when you're having technical issues, it's not convenient at all, right?
No, I know.
Then it's driving you crazy. But when everything's running smooth, Zoom is so convenient to do things from all over. You can go all over the world.
And we do Planned Parenthood. We use Blue Jeans, the platform, and then the Baobab Tree, Kevin Ewing, they use StreamYard. So everybody's got their own little platforms of doing this,
yeah,
which is quite interesting. I get all mixed up. I was like, okay, where? Because everybody's devices are different, right? Like everybody's setup.
Yeah.
Like, where am I? All right, where's this? Where's that?
Yeah, I've sent oh man, I just saw a bug fly on my screen.
Oh Lord.
Drives me crazy.
Harry, it's getting to be winter.
Yeah, I know. But I send links to people for Zoom, and they'll send me a reply saying, I don't use Zoom. Can you use this instead? I'm like, no, we use Zoom.
Like this ain't a multi-choice.
I know. No.
Like this is the platform we use. No, we can't use. Oh my God.
But I get it. They should find a way to integrate all of them together. This way,
Oh no, they're not gonna. The people that make these things are not gonna.
No, of course not, because you got to pay for.
No, they'd be like, "Are you out of your mind? Don't try to cut into our fund, our money."
It would be a lot easier.
Well, Harry, you think anybody's interested in making anything easy?
So, interesting news coming out, right?
What?
Trump had a 60 minutes interview yesterday that's supposed to come out Sunday.
Uh-huh.
And
what did he do? Did he slap somebody? He shot somebody?
Well, that's the interesting part, right? So
he quit?
Supposedly he stood up in the middle of the interview and left and verbally attacked Leslie Stahl.
Leslie Stahl?
So we got to see what we got to wait for Sunday. Stay tuned for Sunday.
Wow. Well.
So I guess it's going to be 30 minutes instead of 60 minutes.
Wow.
But it's always, he keeps it interesting, right?
Well, he's having a colossal meltdown.
And the New York Times is talking a possible Biden landslide.
I hope so. I'm for that, Harry. I did talk to Joe Ugly yesterday. We had a good conversation. We had a nice long chat yesterday. I can't do his because he's doing the election night thing, and I can't do it because I have plans, and I kind of told him that. So, but
you had a good conversation with Joe Ugly.
Yeah, well, Joe and I are friends.
That guy's not a nice guy.
He might be listening to you, Harry. Y'all crazy. Don't start that mess.
I'm hoping that he's listening to me.
He's good to me, Harry. Not to say that I'm dismissing what you say. You probably don't think he's a nice guy because the way y'all go at each other. But yeah. So I mean, they're gonna have a little show. I mean, they're gonna do something.
Yeah,
he has good guests on his show.
He's asked me to be on it.
No, I can't do it for a lot of reasons, but I have plans. So
right, but he has a whole bunch of rules for me only, right? So that's the only problem, right? So I'm the only one who has to have qualifiers, right? To be on his show. You can't say this or you can't say that. You can't say this, but we could say whatever. We could allege anything, but you can't. So that's the only problem.
Okay. Well.
But for me, it's a piece of cake. It's fighting with half my brain tied behind my back. It's easy.
Okay, let's move on.
It's easy. Joe's easy. I don't need.
I see him right now screaming. In a minute now we get hella text. I was like, I wasn't saying that. Harry was saying that.
It was not difficult.
Oh, I'm not messing with you, Harry.
So Obama's back.
He's back to what? He had a thing. He had a He had a socially distanced drive-through campaign
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Well, he's going to be in Philly campaigning for Biden.
Yeah.
So he's back on the stage. You know, he's
He's missed. Shit. Oops, sorry. Shoot. He's missed. We want. It's been a long time since we heard coherence.
well, let me just say this. Every time you hear the word shift, we really intend to say shift. If it comes out another way, that's the mistake. Shift is the word we're looking for.
Oh my God. Harry, do you know how many people listen to us?
FCC.
People listen to us, Harry. Do you know that?
Yeah.
I'm pretty impressed. I never really think about who listens to us, but I'm pretty impressed at the people that listen to us and how far-reaching it is. So thank you, everybody listening across the country, Harry. Like my friends out there in and not just my friends in California, my friends. Like they turn their friends and New Orleans and Louisiana, out there in Louisiana.
You got a lot of people who just went, am I a friend or friend? I wonder where I am on Babz speed dial.
I know, right? Am I a friend or I'm a friend of a friend? Am I a friend?
I know, and I was looking at some of the podcast numbers and everything. People actually listen to your podcast too.
I know. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not bad for an overnight sensation that took 4 years. That's all right, Harry. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
I even heard that they notice when Harry's not on.
They do.
Which is strange.
They do. Although somebody tried to bait me in a conversation about you, Harry. Like, how can I not stand the Republicans, but I tolerate you? I was like, Harry. I said, well, first of all, this is not a conversation that's worth having because Harry is his own person, and I don't lump him into groups. Number
Second
one,
of all, Harry's not a Republican.
That's what I said. I said Harry's not a Republican. Number one. Well, how could he? How could he what?
I'm gonna have my own opinions. Well, I do.
But I was like, so I'm very protective over Harry. I don't let nobody talk about you.
Well, here's the thing, right? And that's
nobody.
And that's why, Babz, Karen loves you so much.
I don't play that mess.
So here's the thing, though. My son. So I'm about 90% with everything you say.
I know.
So, crucifying me for the 10% that I'm different is kind of ridiculous. When you got me on 90%, that's a good number.
Yeah, I think so. I
understand people, and Babz, I haven't done my show in a long time, and I'm thinking when I do it, I might do a pre-election show just to light everybody's hair on fire. but
that's your way to get out the vote.
Light everybody's hair on fire. But after the election, I'm thinking of revamping the whole thing, doing something different.
Oh, everybody's in that mindset, Harry.
Yeah.
I think everybody, I think Paul was the first one to get there with, undoing, like just shutting down pundits. It was good when we did it, but now we're like,
Yeah, I'm looking to not be so bombastic, right? So, but like I said, I might have one left in me, for the
really. Well, get it out while
Yeah, get it out my system so that you can start getting texts and calls. What the hell, Babz? You gotta let him go now. Cut him loose.
No, never. It's like, are you kidding me? And replace it with what? You? No. Nope, nope, nope. Harry, where I go, Harry goes. If you ever stuck up in a tree, here I be. If you ever get caught in a jam, here I am. Because it's friendship, friendship. There's nothing like this friendship. You remember Lucy and Ethel? When they did the talent show? Hey, Ife.
Good morning, Ife. You got
It's almost time for Lovecraft conversation.
I'm excited.
Yep. It's gonna be Lovecraft Love Talk.
Look how the universe lined that up, Harry. Lined it up. Lined it up, baby, so that we can be on this.
Is my background too messy to be on? Babz?
No, it's fine.
Really
You home?
No, it's your background. What?
I'm hiding all the parents' shoes here.
Why you got hide the shoes? Why? Because you think people will put in bids because they want them? You look very radiant this morning.
Thank you. I thought I put some lipstick on,
And it's amazing what just a simple lipstick will do. That's what I did the other day. I was like, I had to do something on air. I was like, you know what? A lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
Instant everything. It's like, okay.
And I rearranged my situation so when I'm on Zoom, the light is like
behind you.
Right.
Or in front of you, rather. It should be in front of you.
Reflecting off this wall.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you. Once I set up my stuff, I won't be in this doorway. I still haven't taken my computers out the box. I was like, oh God, it's not.
And the Paris thing is cool. Like that is so
I know it's behind my bed right now, so I gotta move it. I gotta move it, use it for what I intended to use it for, but I kind of like it behind my bed. So I was like, do I need to buy another one?
I was gonna say you might need to buy another one and leave that as your headboard.
No, I know, because my headboard, who knows when I'll finish paying for it and get it delivered. Hopefully soon. So we're just waiting for Markeisha, but in the meantime, you know what I'm gonna do, Harry? Let me talk a little bit about Lovecraft. Let me tell people what it is. Well, most people know what it is because
unless they've been living under a rock.
Well, yeah. and that is probably more true than anything.
A lot of folks.
Yes, that's probably more true than not. So let me see. And Harry was talking about he had the book at his house.
Wow, the book.
His kids read it. He read it. His kids read it when they were young.
Well, H.P. Lovecraft, but yeah, my kids have argued over the book. Who should have it. My son's always telling my daughter to buy her own copy that it's his. So they still exchange it. Instead of her buying her own copy, they actually still, it goes back and forth.
Yes. So Lovecraft Country is an American horror drama television series developed by Misha Green, based on and serving as a continuation of the 2016 novel of the same name by Matt Ruff, starring Journey Smollett, who we've known since she was a little girl, right? She's been, her whole family, and Harry and I was talking about that the other day. Her whole family, there's a whole bunch of them, and they all are in entertainment. So we're starring Journey Smollett. Markeisha's computer is freezing. Starring Journey Smollett, Jonathan Majors, and Jonathan Majors is the brother. And we saw him in the last
Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Yeah, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. We love that film.
Beautiful, oh my God.
Film. It was just rich and textured.
And I love the Bay Area, so San Francisco is one of my favorite cities. It was just beautifully done.
Well, yeah, they shot it beautifully. The houses are beautiful, and so that's and the acting was beautiful. And then that was the first time I've ever seen him in anything. Or, you know, it's one of these things, if you don't know somebody, you might have seen him in other things until you like, now you know him and you go back and you're like, oh shoot, he was in that too. He was in that. He was in that.
I know when you see their IMDb, it's like,
yes. Then you're like, huh. So Lovecraft Country, hey Markeisha, is a dark fantasy horror novel by Matt Ruff, exploring the conjunction between the horror fiction of H.P. Lovecraft and racism in the United States during the era of Jim Crow laws, as experienced by Black science fiction fan Atticus Turner and his family. So I'm very excited by this. So good morning.
good morning.
Good morning.
Oh my God. Let me tell you, I tell you what, let me say this. I don't normally read the reviews of things because I just hate people's opinions of stuff. But I went on like last night and read a little bit of reviews. But the last few days, I have some intellectual friends who've been writing intellectual pieces about this, and they really got on my nerves. Because I'm thinking, you're going too hard and too deep. Like, can you just stay at the marshmallow level? But people go there. I don't think it's going to be, you know, it's not going to be a master class in anything. I think it's just a departure from what we normally see us in television and roles and projects. This is a very different kind of project.
Oh, I disagree, Babz. There's already a syllabus.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
Oh!
And you know when things get a syllabus, people gonna teach.
I was going to say, because it's too much history in this that it's so much history in that like folks was like, oh shoot, like the woman when Hippolyta was riding and the woman on the black woman that went on the motorcycle. Bessie Stringfield. Right. So
but it's
I
not even
about
just
that.
It's not even just that though. Like it's so layered. So like even Hippolyta's name, right? Hippolyta is named for a Greek, someone who is a child of a Greek god. Hippolyta was the queen of the Amazons. Like then you got Greek mythology on top of that. So you run down that rabbit hole. Like there's so many rabbit holes on the show. And it's exciting for me. I'm a nerd, so I like that kind of stuff. But like, you know, it's almost a supplement. Like if you have teenagers who are into movies and stuff, like this would be a fun thing to watch with your kid and then completely nerd out on it. Like you can follow the history track. You can follow like all of the massacre track. You can follow so many different tracks about this that like you can follow like what's pioneering and learn about pioneering and Black folks moving into white neighborhoods and white flight. Like there's so many
the mess that happened in the Korean War.
You can learn about the Korean War. So many people don't know anything about the Korean War.
Yes, or that Black people were even there.
Exactly. And you know, to your point about like going into like different avenues where people are writing things, there was a woman in the Lovecraft HBO country group that I don't know, you know, if her background is in costuming and drama, but she was telling about all the symbolism in that particular episode that features the Korean War, about the way the women were dressed and what the colors symbolize. I was like, now you got art history and theater history. What? I was like, come on. Then if you just extrapolate all the dialogue that was used, James Baldwin, Sun Ra,
yes.
If you just go down that
Gil Scott Heron.
Exactly. Now you're doing African American
studies. Winter in America.
And if you've never taken any Black studies courses, now you're taking Black studies. Like literally,
you got to use psychology
entire life. Like seriously.
Yeah. So I think Harry made that point yesterday when we were talking. He was like, he had no idea with so much history packed into this thing at every turn. I saw a piece the other day where this woman, her mother had a necklace that was identical to a necklace.
And she has it.
That they wore in the show.
Yeah, Christina has it on. She's wearing it.
I was like,
which is amazing. People are like, wait a minute, I've seen that before. So yes, this show, like I look forward to. I haven't had my second watch, so I've seen every episode twice.
I'm gonna see every episode except the Babz twin one. I can't.
I watched that one twice. I had to give it like a week, but I watched it twice.
I can't go back there. I can't. Harry said him and his wife were watching it, and they said, I bet you Babz is scared to death. I bet you she is.
That was literally for me the most terrifying episode. Like it was truly like I need to turn the lights on and I want.
But the choreography, those two little girls, who are they?
And they're not little girls.
They're grown women.
They're grown women.
Yeah,
they're grown women.
The choreography in that.
The choreography is incredible, but the makeup
scared me to death.
That they like, so that's what actually took the scare out of it for me. So I was able to see, like on Instagram, their pictures. They posted pictures of them.
I know. I went backstage and looked at them doing it. Markeisha,
that didn't tell. Once I could see their real faces and see how they did it, it didn't terrify me. And if you drop the music out of any scary movie, I was not scary anymore.
Yeah,
so
that might help me if I watch it again to just mute.
Listen, I'm still mad at Jordan Peele because he made I Got Five on it like scary. I was like, I don't ever want to hear that song again.
Because every time I hear it, I'm like, oh.
I haven't seen Us to this day.
Raphael Sadiq did that. Raphael Sadiq did the music.
Either way, but
he's
I think
he's the music on this too.
That's what I'm saying. Raphael Sadiq did the music. Was one of the music directors.
Yes, it's like two of them.
Absolutely.
He's brilliant. That's
he doesn't get enough credit.
The fact that they wrote an opera for one of the episodes is just.
And wait, I'm online trying to I'm trying to find it. Right? I was like, no, I got to have that music.
Whole new thing.
I'm like, I gotta have this music, and I come to find out.
But the soundtrack is out now. The soundtrack
is it?
Out. Yeah.
Okay.
That's wrong, Harry. That's wrong.
Harry, that is so mean.
So mean.
All right, Harry.
The way that girl twists backwards, that mess. I don't know what it is about that skin. Crap
it was
out of me.
so great because every time you would see them dancing, you would want to look, but you would also feel compelled to look away because you're like, this is terrifying. But my girl is killing these dance moves.
They are killing it. That's what I was like. Oh my God, I couldn't even get scared because I don't like scary shit either. Scariness either.
I knew Ife was gonna do it. I was like, how soon in it is Ife gonna drop a bomb? The FCC gotta let us be great.
But the choreography is what drew me in. It was like, oh, this is so phenomenal. Gracie's over today. We're gonna watch all of them.
Ooh. Oh, really? I think I would have watched these with my kids. They probably would have been I think probably now they probably would enjoy it now. I think as little kids they probably would have been a little too scared.
Yeah.
So,
but that episode was a great episode for talking about, what role do Black kids play in horror films? You don't really see Black kids in horror films.
Yeah, you don't.
Like it's very.
I mean, if you do, they're killed immediately, right? Like,
right.
well,
like
when you see Black people in a horror film, we're the first to go.
And the showrunners and on the HBO Lovecraft Radio podcast talked a little bit about that. There were a few key movies where there are Black kids. Of course, Us is on that list now. Mm-hmm. But I think some movie about I don't remember the title, about being under the stairs or something, or the people under the stairs. It might be.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I've seen that. So I think what I'm gonna do in the lead up to Halloween is I'm gonna watch there's a I think a horror noir documentary that I'm gonna watch. I'm probably gonna make my way through Lovecraft Country, like watch it in its entirety, like watch an episode a day or something like that leading up to Halloween. And then I'm gonna get out there and find like Tales from the Hood, which is like one of my favorite like horror. I love, like, it wasn't horror to me, it was pretty funny, but I loved that movie. It was so
no. You know what? My next thing is I'm gonna queue up a bunch of musicals.
I need some light.
Cabin in the Sky, that kind of thing. Auntie May. I gotta undo all of that.
No, I just want to keep going deeper and deeper. I'm probably gonna make my way through. I'm like, we got a whole winter to get through, so maybe I'll totally.
Oh no, it won't be with that. It won't be with that.
No, it's.
So, do you have a favorite episode? Does everybody have a favorite episode?
I have 5 favorite episodes.
Oh my God.
Yes. If you're ready, I'll go.
Go.
So my first favorite episode is Letty's episode with all of the kind of African traditional religion, voodoo, love that. The second one was Gia's episode because that episode was, helping you question, what is a monster and that's a theme throughout the show, but it also was a love story. We got to see Atticus as a very young man making the kinds of decisions that young people, particularly in the military, make very early, very adult decisions about whether you have to kill somebody because that's your job, but also falling in love and like getting to see him and see a romance blossom. My third favorite episode is actually, like, I wouldn't have thought this would have been a favorite episode, but Diana's episode, the episode with Topsy and Bopsy, is a favorite episode. Let's see, and Hippolyta's episode is on there, and the episode where they go to find the lost pages. I like, that's giving me Goonies vibes, Raiders of the Lost Ark, like the adventure of it. Right. I love that. So
I like that one too. I think my favorite one is definitely the I Am one with Hippolyta. And I love when the woman with the big afro, and she was
woman
like,
with that badass
princess.
And she said, we're not holding you. You're not a prisoner.
Like in prison.
Not a prisoner.
And I thought, wow, that was such a profound thing, because all the prisons that exist for ourselves are the ones that we make and create. Right? See, Harry, you played too much.
Harry.
But no, this little video, this is what helped me not be afraid. I was like, that's a real human under all that crazy.
And I saw that. I saw all of this. I saw them jokey backstage and all of that. Still though, it's still just
it did not. And she's so pretty. Like, it's like it was far less.
If they don't win an award just for that, portrayal,
all the awards, man.
The back bend, y'all. Like, I was like, choreography.
This was, and that episode, one of my other favorite horror series was the Freddy Krueger series. That's what I used to watch growing up. So like the girls,
Markeisha, you are really invested in this whole horror. Not me.
And I'm more invested than I thought I would be, because I didn't think I actually watched that. And horror isn't one of my favorite genres by any means. But yeah, it was giving me, like, I was like, yeah, I've watched my fair amount of horror movies in my day, and it was giving me Freddy Krueger vibes, and the fact that she was the only one who could see these things coming at her. Yeah, very, very.
I mean, my favorite was the I Am, because it just speaks to where I am in liberation and freedom. And I love the jihad one too. Like, because you never just get to see that. And she was talking about that as an actress, how she's never given these kinds of roles, right, where she's centered,
Korean American,
where she's centered in her ethnicity,
right,
and not as some kind of object or exotic kind of. I mean, there's a little bit of exotic reference there, but she got to carry a whole episode.
Yes.
I enjoy that.
Well done.
And I think I love the episode where Montrose is reckoning with.
That's what I was gonna say.
The Tulsa. I think
was that the Tulsa episode.
That's the ninth episode, almost the last one. Yes.
Yeah,
that's gotta be my favorite one, when they bring the ancestors and they get the book and they start talking about what all. That was I enjoyed that very much.
Yeah. That definitely is on my list.
My episode was when Montrose reckoning in the club with the sexuality. It was
giving us what is called the show? Giving us
Pose
vibe.
Pose. And Hippolyta and like Markeisha mentioned, the meaning, the meaning of her name, but also the fact that the daughter's name is Diana, and that's also has Greek mythology.
Yes. Mm-hmm. As a Black Greek, yes, all this resonates. As a pledged Black Greek, all that sort of resonated. None of it was lost on me. I was like, what?
No, I loved Greek mythology as a child, so yeah, it was right up there.
Me too. I loved Greek and I loved Norse mythology too. Yeah. So I loved all of that, and I tagged y'all in the piece about the illustrator who did the actual
Afua Richardson,
the book that they used the what do you call it?
The comic book. The artist
in the show, the artist, yes, and I enjoyed listening to her talk about that, and how that came to be, and how she was, deliberate in trying to capture just the right. I enjoyed that very much. Harry, do you have a favorite episode?
The ninth episode,
Mine too, Harry.
Yeah.
And then also well, you and I are right there because the Hippolyta episode was my favorite too. But I'm feeling her, so
she's very talented. And you know, Harry, she's our sorority sister.
She is.
But
So-
also when her husband came back and they were together, when they were together again, it was like she was telling him, like, I love you, but I've been living in your shadow.
Yeah.
And I'm in my own power.
And I love the way he said, and I let you. Like,
Right.
I stood by and I watched you diminish, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And I thought, if that ain't some intimate, I think there wasn't a Black woman I know who does not want to hear brother say that at some point. Like, if brothers came out the gate saying, you know what, I see you, and whatever I've done to like not let you shine or elevate you, I'm sorry. Like, can you imagine what that would do for all our relationships, man?
Okay.
And I think that's what's interesting. So I don't know if you all saw kind of the dialogue. There was a big back and forth in some of the groups around Atticus and Letty's relationship, and whether or not it was, you know, like whether it seemed intimate. Like, people saw the episode with Jihad where they're falling in love and overcoming like some really like terrible things to be in love. It's like, whoa,
because
you killed
she's
my
a
best friend.
monster.
I'm trying to find a way to stab you. And she was.
And FYI, I'm a monster.
Right. She was like, I am going to try to get revenge on you because you killed my best friend. But oh, by the way, in fact, that is what you did was monstrous, but you don't actually happen to be a monster of a person. I'm technically an actual monster, or at least a mythical being
But she also
that
saw
can
him
kill
die.
you. But she was like, I'm gonna try to tell you.
Right. But when she saw his life, she saw him die another way.
Right.
Right.
But like
all the memories.
Well, I told Harry, I said, you know, I don't think I think it's a great resurrection story. Like, all resurrection stories have a sense of dying, right? So I love, you know, when you look at, you know, he's on a cross, you know, he's spread out like a cross, blah, 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 da, da, da. But I think it sets it up for a real resurrection story, whether he comes back as he is or he's very present in the story moving forward. It just has its roots in the resurrection story, which I like thinking about. Like, I really like thinking about that, and seeing where they go with that beyond him just dying.
They haven't decided which way they're going with the story yet.
Yeah.
Or if they're going somewhere with the story, right? Like,
or if there's going to be a story.
Yeah, right. 'Cause technically they haven't been renewed, right? Like, it's not, even though with the numbers, I can't see how HBO isn't begging them. Because I think even the rewatch, they're gonna be like, whoa, people are rewatching this thing? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's up in the air, but like there are so many potential like storylines, right? Like, and even if you keep Jonathan Majors' character Atticus in the show in some way by resurrecting them, they have his body, and you need body for magic. You need body, energy, and intention. That's what we learned. They have the book of names. White people no longer have magic, so
that line right there, you no longer have the magic.
and remember this. Oh, there's so many things to remember. Remember this. There are other lodges. And this is the thing. And it occurred to me today as I was getting ready to come on the show. So there's always been this little thread that Montrose seems to know more than he's letting on.
Oh, yeah.
And
I believe
go
that.
Back to the episode and I didn't go back to the episode, but it came to my mind. If you go back to the episode where Atticus is talking to Sammy before he goes to Artem to look for him, for his father, Montrose, Sammy says he was hanging out with a white man with a fancy silver car, right? Remember that Lancaster kills William. We assume that it's Christina playing William who's meeting with Montrose, when it could have been Montrose meeting with William the entire time. And given that it's magic, they could have been lovers because all of that.
Yeah.
So we don't know how long they've been doing that.
Oh,
I love this show.
This.
I love it.
I love it.
There's so many things to think about. We still don't know what Atticus was doing in Florida.
That's what I was getting ready to
that. We don't know anything about Letty's parentage other than her mother, her brother.
Is a Baptiste, which speaks to voodoo priestess, right?
There's so
There you
many
go.
things. There's so many things.
Yeah, and I love that it's so many things because it could go in any direction.
And because of the history of it, like, and what we saw in the last episode when they're meeting with the ancestors, you know, there's Hippolyta who has this potential and all these multiverses. So Letty could go take little George when he's born, take him to visit his dad.
But then there's Ruby too. There's also the fact that, you know, when Christina puts people in a coma. So Ruby's in a coma. Yeah. She's not gone, right? And because of the way she supposedly felt about her, she probably is preserved someplace. So if they go back to that house, she may be in the basement.
Yeah, well, we saw in the vision, I don't know if you remember in the vision when Gia connects all of them, you get to see Christina's. And so Ruby is somewhere in that dungeon hooked up to something. Now, we never see them resurrect any of the people that are being used to keep their blood going. So maybe there's a spell that brings Ruby back. I'm not sure. But yeah, there's their potential for that. You know, there's a whole backstory that could happen with Letty, because like, why was she in jail? Remember she said, you know,
why was she in jail?
Her family, because she didn't come to the funeral because she was in jail.
And then
she could have been in jail because black women could be loitering.
Right, and be put in jail. Or she could have been like freedom riding and was jailed for that.
Right, because she was a virgin. That was the thing, because everybody was always thinking she's this way or that way, and she was actually a virgin.
And you know, that's a very interesting thought to follow, because the perception of being a hoe and actuality, or you know, like what makes you a whore? What makes you?
You know what makes you a whore? And at least in our culture, and even today, if a man calls you a whore, if a man says, I had sex with her, she's a hoe.
But no one had sex with her, right? Like, so she.
That's the point, though, Babz. Like, men get to determine which women are deemed hoes. Like, you could be somebody who is not having sex with anybody, but we live in a society where men.
But if I can't have you, then I'm gonna label you.
Exactly.
Like, I'm just gonna.
Exactly. So.
Yeah. I was just so.
And now she's about to be a single mom.
A mom.
So...
Yeah.
There are layers, and like
I loved at the end when they went back to the house and the black neighbors across the street took the for sale sign because they bought the house across the street. Because remember, white people used to live there.
But what they talked about on the podcast,
white people were dead because the monster killed them.
Well, yeah.
They killed the cops. They didn't kill the people that lived in the house.
No, that guy, the one of those. Remember the original guys that came into the house lived across the street.
But they've been dead though. Like they died.
Didn't the three of them go in the basement? Yeah, they floating in the basement.
But it's not necessarily like just black people. It's either like black people are moving in the neighborhood, which means white flight is about to happen. We all know that it's about to become a black neighborhood, which could mean what by 1990 if they decide. Like, and that's the other thing, they can set the show in whatever era they want. Like they could start with a whole new cast in certain ways. Like they could do anything at this point.
They could start with little George's life and make it. Whatever.
I love that we got a sense of Emmett Till alive, hanging with friends as a regular teenager. Like I didn't when she was hanging with her friends at the house, I didn't make the connection because his name is Bobo. They called him Bobo, but I didn't know that fact. So when they were when they were all trying to get into the wake and all the other kind of stuff, and they were talking about it, it made sense to me now. I was like, oh. He was one of those kids at the house.
Oh, the people had found that out when they were on the Ouija board. They had found a picture of Emmett Till and noticed that he had the same tie. Like, immediately, I was like, y'all are on it. On it. I was like, well, it didn't even like.
But what else is how the guys and the white guys in the lodge were fucking up Christina the way Emmett Till.
Are you trying to get my show canceled?
Sorry.
That's it. And we live on Facebook.
In the morning.
She paid them to beat her like that, Ife.
Yeah, because she wanted to experience.
She paid them to beat her like that. Because she knew she wasn't gonna die for real.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She just wanted the experience. But I read this little piece.
What in the weird white people is that, though?
Well, this is what I read. I read a little piece that a sister wrote that said, Christina is just about every white woman who shows up talking about our allies, and then they do us in, and then they expect us to save them in the end.
But here's the other thing, Babz, that I thought was interesting, because people were like, oh, well, in the end,
nah, boo.
I saw a story, a review from, I think, the Rolling Stones, was like, you know, I expected Christina to be badder. I was like, why does she need to be badder? Like, she was literally like, I'm gonna use your life so I can have magic. I'm not
so I can live eternally. So I can live.
And it's not personal. This chick said it's not personal. And I'm like, that is peak whiteness right there, which is like, I want what I want.
Karen,
and I don't care how many Black people have to die before I get it.
But you know what? You know what that sets that up for me? How all these medical and gynecological experiments were done on us.
Yes.
And people were just very dismissive, as if, you know, they're just Black people.
No, they're
not even people. They're just Black.
They just slaves. They're not even Black. They're not anybody. They're not any more important than my horse or my dog. They're
like, who cares?
But we're doing this for science to save the white people.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's peak whiteness.
Nothing personal.
It's not personal.
But
it's not personal.
We have to save the people that matter. We don't care about these things over here.
So here's the overarching
question.
Here's the overarching question. This is the question I asked Harry the other day. And every time I talk to somebody about this, I'm like, what is scarier, actual monsters or racism?
Racism.
And wait, so I have some friends on Facebook who were like, they were talking about when they were talking to their white friends who were watching the show, and they kept saying, well, we thought there would be more monsters.
It's like, there are plenty of monsters, player, plenty.
You know what? The white people would say
what the monsters are.
Because the white people don't have to experience racism at the level that we do. So they're going to say the monsters.
Yeah.
Right? And we got to live with both of them. We got to live with
fascinating to me about the show, because I'm like, I've talked to a few white friends who are watching the show, but I have not probed them about why they watch it and what they get out of it. Because the groups that I'm in that are discussing it are very Black. If there are white people in those groups, they don't speak up. They know that this is not their space. So Black people are talking very candidly about a lot of things when it comes to the show. So I don't know why white people watch the show and what they like about it, and whether we all like the same things or even get all of the same references, right? Like, so I am curious about that. I'm curious as an observer. I don't actually want to have that conversation necessarily.
I was going to say, I'll listen to them, but
I don't want to have.
I
don't want to engage it. Like, I don't want to be the person being talked to about it, because
Harry, can you put up some Hippolyta photos?
Blue hair.
He's like, oh yes, one moment, please.
And also Ruby photos.
Ruby is fine. Come on now.
Ruby behind
She's
you.
Gorgeous.
Ruby's voice. Ruby can sing. Like,
Ruby is beautiful.
And she's African, right? Like,
she is of Africa. Like, she's from Africa, but
besides the twins,
she was working at that Southern accent. Bless her heart.
The twins, what was the scariest part for you? Besides the twins,
when they had to get out of the sundown town.
Yeah,
that part.
Yeah,
like,
yes, that was scarier than almost.
I was like, oh my God.
that was it. That was it, Babz.
I was like, go faster, but not too fast.
Yeah, you had to see my sofa became the car.
Were you pushing the gas, Harry?
Yeah, Karen and I basically we grabbed hands and we're both like it. You don't know. It was stressful.
It was very. Can you imagine living like that? I know my mom told me stories of her family as a kid when they would, go down south from Philadelphia. That back then there weren't any rest stops, and between Philadelphia and like North Carolina, at some point you get to places you're like, we can't stop here. We just got to keep driving all night until we get wherever we're going.
Harry, do we need to take a station identification? Do I need to say it, or are you going to play it?
Yeah.
Green Book.
Andrew bought a bunch of those.
Let me do that right now.
All right, we're going to take a little station identification break for the
Rawls-Ivy from New Haven, Connecticut. And you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, streaming live at newhavenindependent.org.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right, so yeah, so the sundown, and the first time that that William turns into, what was the
Christina.
name?
Christina.
Christina. That first, skin peeling, and
Ugh.
I was
Oh,
like, ooh, ooh.
Oh, that sex scene with Ruby and William, Christina. I was like, oh. that's mm-mm. no.
That
I don't know what
grossed
kink
me
that is,
out.
but I don't want that.
That's
When
a
all
kink I
the-
can't get with.
oh, that was like,
No. Also, I know we're not supposed to think about the things that are kind of under, like, that don't exist in the show. We're supposed to, like, the fantasy and all of the things that are going on are supposed to help us not see it. I still keep wondering who cleans all that up. who cleans that up and doesn't talk about it? Who doesn't go home? Like, even if you're the maid and you, like, go home, you be like, girl, I just cleaned up. I don't know what that was, but I can't keep working there. They into some stuff that I think is going to have me in trouble with the Lord. No. So yeah, I always wonder where all that skin and blood goes.
that was, yeah. Like where, like when she left the club, or when she,
or the store, or just wherever.
Oh, when they were having intercourse. Ooh, and it was falling off. I was like, oh.
And only one time did he put down a tarp. that very first time she changed back, they put down a tarp. But after that, it was just skin
wherever it fell.
Yeah, that was gross.
I guess it's just when those one unanswered kind of.
But again, I think it was getting to, like, it's like gore. Like, if, like, some movies are gory, so, like, this is your gore moment. So, like, they have, like, all of these gore moments.
and the Ruby and Christina scenes when they just talk with each other, and they're like, the direction was just fabulous. Their intimacy, where you see Ruby going through, I really like this as a man, but as a woman.
And Christina's like, everything I am is me. Like, you might be seeing William, but what you're getting is me.
And I want, and it's like the darkest Black woman and the whitest white woman entanglement.
And in the end, though, and spoiler alert, so I hope everybody who's watching us has seen the last episode. But did y'all notice when, at the point where, like, Ruby and Letty are fighting in that tower, and it kind of, you kind of, like, the actress actually changes her voice, so you know that it's Christina.
Yeah,
like, that's in.
Well, that's why her little head was like, oh, that's a nice one right there.
Oh, that's a nice.
There were so many baths. Do y'all have any, like, symbolism for the baths? Like, I'm gonna get clean before we do this dirty, like, kinky, whatever we're about to do?
You know what? I think because it speaks to a way that Black women never get to rest and have quiet time. So that spoke to, like, some sacred time, some special private time.
It's very intimate.
Yeah,
he's always there.
She went after the funeral, and she was just tired, and she she got a bad, like, sometimes you just like, it's so much. Like, George Floyd happened, everybody was just tired. Like, oh, you so angry that it wears you down. And a bubble bath is like the ultimate.
Yeah,
relaxation.
I think it's a very unspoken kindness that somebody runs you a bath. Like, it says, I really care about you, and I'm gonna
but
run
of course
you a bath.
it's complicated, right? Like, because in that same scene, when she transforms back into Christina, she goes to Christina, Ruby's character goes to Christina and is like, I basically want you to feel something about this. And she's like, I should be on the other side of town with my people, but yet here I am. And sis is like, yet here you are. Like, you wanted what you wanted right now today, and this is what you wanted to be doing. If you really believe that, you would be on the other side of town.
Yeah.
So it gets complicated really
Yep.
quickly. She gets that small moment of respite, but she also gets challenged about like what it is she actually cares
Yeah.
about.
Like you gonna walk in this truth.
Right.
Like you care about all of that, but you care about you first.
Yeah.
But
you gonna
also
walk in this
I think
truth.
it recognizes that like people's feelings are complex. Like you can have all the feelings and still not act in a way that follows those feelings, right? Or follows into their natural, what you think you should be doing versus what you're actually doing.
Mm-hmm. I love the fact that Hippolyta took her daughter into the future to get this arm. Because that's the only way that happens, right? Like you have to go into a very far future to get that technology to do all the things, right? Like it wasn't just a wooden hand. It had all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, that was the Terminator hand.
Yes.
And sis was like, and
All
I'm
right, Markeisha. I couldn't think where I was like,
That
I
was the
know that
Terminator.
hand.
that was the Terminator hand. Like that's why I was like, it was action, it's suspense, it's a thriller. This is like Black people trying to describe what Lovecraft Country is. It's sci-fi, it's horror, it's all the genres. It is everything.
When Diana was sitting in the car and all the little vampires came in, and then the what's the big monster called?
The Shoggoth.
The Shoggoth came and was like taking everybody out, and then looked at, and she was like, "Oh, let's go."
Because at first I thought she was going to be scared because she was like looking around. I was like, they done left this baby alone again.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt too, Markeisha. I'm like, why are they always leaving this child?
And then could you imagine what,
just
like,
in a car, like the car
right.
ain't a force field.
But also, could you imagine if we were all watching the last episode in a theater? Do you know how Black people would be talking to the screen? Because I know I was talking to the screen. I was like, D, turn the light out. Turn the light out. But she wasn't afraid because she knew what she had. She had her arm and she had her homie, the Black Shoggoth. People are actually calling it the Black Shoggoth, which was Atticus's Shoggoth. So
yeah.
So she was ready.
I love the fact
how did y'all feel about the ending? Because some people had heartburn about like this child killing this white woman.
Oh, I loved it.
I was like, she gotta die.
You know what?
Like we not being benevolent. Ain't no redemption here. She gotta die.
Right.
Like she gonna be on you. Like a woman who was gonna kill you and tell you it was not personal.
That woman caused too much damage to her and her family. She knew that.
She had to die.
Girl, I don't got no allegiance to you.
But the loyalty though, but her own family had some type, like they left her alive. They didn't kill her. Like they could have killed her, but they didn't. And she was like,
no, Dee didn't have the same compassion, like any kind of nothing. Because even when she went back to those cops, she was like, like, and how she
wish she had been taller so she could have got him in the eye.
and then how she punched down the little creatures. She was like, look, I'm tired. No.
Listen, if Montrose had grabbed her, I think she would have won.
I think she would have won too, Markeisha, if he didn't jump in there, because they couldn't see them. Because she was winning. She was like, I'm gonna listen,
She's like, I'm ready. She's like, I know what I gotta do. I got my she was like, I'm ready. I got my bat.
Because at some point you gotta stop running from the monsters, right? Like
that's
everybody's story. At least when I was a kid, I remember running home from people who used to chase me home. My mother was like, you got one more damn day. This is it. You gonna turn around and fight these girls. And I never had problems.
Like that.
And I used to just fight. I was just fighting
like to be messed with.
I loved it. I think it's good. I don't know how deep I could go with it, but I think I will watch it again, Markeisha, because it absolutely warrants another go round. I mean, it really does.
And every time you see it, you'll see something else that or hear another line, because the lines in it is just so freaking brilliant. To as a writer, to be like sitting in a room with those people, with all the group of writers. Oh my God, it was like, oh yeah, I loved it.
The writer's room sounded like it was an interesting place, because the woman, there's one writer on the podcast who the official podcast, and she says, they would, like, Misha Green's thing is to make you go there. She's like, her job, and so the last episode of the podcast, Journey Smollett and Misha Green are on it. So go listen to it. And Journey's like, nah, forget about what Misha's saying. Misha is messing with your mind. She is doing it, absolutely. And she's doing it on purpose. And she's trying to mess with your head. And so all of the things like that we are like squeamish about, or the things that like, we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, like are very deliberate. Like she's messing with you. Like she's like, my intention is to make you uncomfortable. I was like,
Yeah.
And
like,
as an actor,
success.
and as an actor, to get those lines, like, did they, like, I was like, how much time do you have to process that? Or do you get them that day? Like the whole
interesting
process of it, because their emotion, like the direction and how they delivered the lines and what they were feeling. Like I always go into all that.
Absolutely. And I think you'll like the episode with Journey, because Journey talks about like, so for her episode, the Letty episode where they're doing the seance, basically, she was like, so I need to be clear that this isn't a real seance. She's like, because that's the thing that I'm afraid of. She's like, of all the fears, like people were asking, what are your fears? She's like, I'm afraid of ghosts and spirits, because that's classic, that's peak Black people, right? Like the thing that we actually shouldn't be actually afraid of, because those are usually our ancestors speaking to us. But we've been conditioned through our interactions with racism and imperialism and colonialism and the use of religion to subdue us, that we're taught that certain things are evil, and collectively taught that, whether you're in a church or not, you're kind of collectively taught that, as opposed to, if you might have a great grandmother say, oh, don't worry about nothing about that, that's your grandfather walking around, whatever, and you'd be like, are you kidding? But she was like, that's what she was genuinely afraid of. So she wanted to be clear that she was not summoning any spirits or anything that was actually going to come and visit her. She said she even talked to her pastor, who was actually very upset. I'm not surprised, but was very upset that she was going to be participating in such a thing. And I was like, that was really interesting. But she was like, they did, I don't know if they did prayers or something, like some type of protect. I was like, well, she must believe in something other than the blood of Jesus, because she is like, let's do some protection prayers and some other things and some ceremonies.
I love the fact
and that's her job. Like that was her job.
Yeah, exactly.
You signed on, you had a contract to do this, so you had to go through with it.
It's not your life. I mean, it's your work. It's what you do for
your work. And then
what I loved most, I think, and I was talking to Harry yesterday about this, is that so much of the Tulsa story, we get how Black people were just massacred. But in this story, you get to see Black people fighting back. Right. Like word went through the community and people did all that they could to fight back. And also people were prepared. Yeah, they were prepared.
They were prepared. Like they didn't just you didn't just grab a gun. Like you had a gun on hand because you knew you might need a gun.
Because you knew you might have to deal with some people.
Right. Like people very much believed in their Second Amendment right to defend themselves. And it's because it's a topic that keeps coming back around every time we have a sense of unrest in this country. And people want to go on and on about their Second Amendment rights, and then Black folks are like, well, we supposedly have those same rights. So, but we also live in a country that has spent a lot of time mass incarcerating Black folks and taking away their right to have a firearm.
Yeah.
So we're even less prepared probably to defend ourselves, to meet violence with violence because of the law, because we've legally taken away people's rights to bear arms in particular ways. And it's mostly Black and brown people who are affected by that type of thing. It's pretty interesting.
Yes. Yeah. So
that was excellent, Markeisha. And I just want to say the guy who plays Tick,
Jonathan Majors.
Oh my God, he did most of his acting in his face.
Yes.
Face.
Oh my God.
And I felt everything with him. So he was excellent. And then also Journey, Letty, the way she ran in her scene.
She gained so many miles in these episodes.
So
whole marathon. And people were mad when she was walking in the Tulsa episode because she was walking with the book. I was like, girl needs a rest.
She's like, I ain't running no more.
No more. I'm done running.
Yeah, but she was killing Hippolyta, so because she's over there trying to hold, the portal open, and Letty's just walking. I'm like, hurry up! You're killing her.
You're killing. And you're like, Hippolyta's my girl. Don't kill Hippolyta.
I'm like, come on. She's holding the gate open. Come on.
That gave me two things.
Open at the mouth.
That gave me two things. So, like, one, of course, the resiliency of Black women and all that we do to save everyone. One, and that's throughout, and women generally, because we see Jihad, like, who is also a part of that. So women of color, but also the inherent masculinity of being vulnerable, and how that's not like emasculating. Like, Atticus's character is very vulnerable. Like, even though he like has moments where he's being hard-headed and stubborn and trying to be a lone wolf and thinking I'm the only person who can save my family, even though he comes to the realization at the end that we need everybody to save the family. Like, we need all of these strengths, all of these things that people have to be able to defeat these people. Like, we got to do this together. But like, he is so, like, Jonathan Majors is excellent at portraying male, like, masculinity and having it be vulnerable, and to see that he's like, I don't know a woman who isn't half in love with that man right now because of the way he plays.
I was gonna say, it's very sexy, but it's also like when people like we're talking about the difference between his love with Jihad and his love with Letty. Like, Letty had to keep checking him, like, dude, I got you. Like, what? Stop.
But is that not very much Black man, Black woman love, right? Like, isn't that what we are, because there are so many things upon us individually and collectively as a people, we're at odds. Like, it's always a power struggle between us, as opposed to seeing ourselves as effective partners who are fighting against the same things. You don't have it any harder or not. Like, people want to see it that way, but we're in this collective fight together. And then when we get on the same page, look what we can do. Somebody still might get killed, but at least we did it together.
And it was also at a different place in, like, with his love affair with Jihad. It was like he was in this war.
He was also very young. Like, I chalk it up to youth. He was like 19 at best.
And he was young. Exactly.
Like,
and then he was like
5-year-old.
And then because he was leaving Florida, and when he left Florida, he gave it the finger.
Right.
Like, him and that lady on the bus, like, we don't know what happened in Florida, because he was like, bye.
Right. And
so he gave Florida the finger.
I'll give you a little book spoiler because I'm listening to the audiobook. So in fact, the way the book opens is he's leaving Florida. He's not on a bus. So when we see him on a bus in the show, he's like coming through Kentucky or something. But he actually drives from Florida. He actually has a car. And so he's driving. He gets stopped by a state trooper and has a whole interaction before he actually drives into Chicago. So he's doing like the cross country travel in a car, which I thought was really interesting.
Wow.
So,
okay, so I got to get the book.
Listen to the book, girl. Listen to the book, because it's different. It's a little different. So
a little different, I think.
I love the nod that they throw in the episode when he brings back a copy of Lovecraft Country from the future, and it's basically Matt Ruff's copy, but it's got George Freeman's name on it. I love this show. I love it.
So just this picture, the picture that Harry has behind him right now, like, you see the three different kinds of strengths in these women. Like D is like, what?
She's also a child who has been like traumatized though. So like, we don't really get to get into that, but you're like, this child has experienced some really, like, she lost her best friend really tragically. She got hemmed up by the police, who we knew, like, when I saw that part of the episode, I was like, I don't know what they're about to do to her. Like, anything could have happened to her. And so even by this age, and then by the end of the episode, she kills somebody. Girl she's gonna be a force. Like she's gonna be tough. Like, and how do you deal with that kind of toughness in a child?
Yeah.
Who's already seen so many horrible things in the world.
Yeah. I mean, thank God her mother tempers that a little bit.
Her mother's gonna have to take her to a new earth and be like, girl, we got to take you somewhere where the flowers grow. We're gonna take you to Earth 325 where things are great. And we're gonna get you some therapy because this has been through it.
Like, yeah.
She has been through it. And poor George, baby George, who's not even here, how she has not like lost
miscarried.
her baby. Oh my God.
But all that running, Harry.
The running, the being thrown, like the being kicked out of a tower. Like
Well, she's got that blood in her now, right?
She's got she's got the invulnerability spell on her.
I thought it
nope, they put it back.
Okay, all right, good.
That's how she came back to life.
That's how she came alive.
I thought it was the baby. I thought the baby was like saving her.
It might have been the baby that put the spell
because
back
her
on
little birthmark thing kind of rose up a little bit. Like
it rose up. So apparently, when at some point in that scene where she's fighting Ruby's walking out, like she says the spell or she says something in the language of Adam, and so it comes back after a while.
Oh, okay.
So again, like people have been catching all the little itty bitty tidbits.
Did you see the meme where it says this is the only place where a black man's baby mama and ex?
I did see that because they were sitting at the table working together. Did y'all also see, and I know we're probably about to get out of here in a second, did y'all also see people were talking
all the time in the world.
People were talking about in that same vein, Ife, where so of course Tick goes to meet with Jiha when he realizes like I'm probably gonna need her. And some people were like, and I had a little side eye for it too, because I was like, oh, now you need her. You talk cash crap to her when she came by and like just pushed her away. Luckily, she did not go back to Korea. She's at the hotel, but you come back hat in hand. You need her now, even though like you're still gonna die, but you need her now. So now you're like, oh, we're family.
Okay. But what he did at the house was that classic when your side chick shows up and you dismiss her, like when all the women know what's going on.
First of all, I don't see her. She was never the side chick.
No, she wasn't.
And he dismissed her because she's a monster and he didn't know how to deal with the monster part. I think that freaked him out. If she was just a regular woman, because he loved her.
Well, that's true.
He wanted to marry her. And then was she like turned into the monster,
he would have came home with a Korean wife.
Yeah. And so that freaked him out because he was like, who among us wouldn't have been freaked out by that?
That's pretty freaking crazy.
He's like, what just happened? And it was his first time.
And then you show up at my door. I'm like, okay, what you bringing? Because I got all this to contend with. You bringing some drama? Because if you bringing some drama,
well, that's true. Okay,
right.
But
by the time she does actually show up on his door, because they've been calling back and forth, right? So like she'd been calling him, trying to tell him, you need to come back here because you're in danger. And the only way I know to protect you is for you to not be where you are. But like once he like deciphers like, oh, she wasn't lying, like because he says in that one episode, how did you know? And she's like, I'm trying to tell you because I'm a nine-tailed fox spirit, and then I know stuff. I be knowing,
and I see it,
and I saw it. And then when she does finally like get like she works so hard, and this is again like a knock against like, cause so it's twofold. Like he's so good at playing a character that has these vulnerabilities that just kind of leak out. Like he just can't help it. But at the same time, he's doing that ideal man thing. I'm in charge. I know what's best. So you're sitting here in front of my pregnant new girlfriend who hasn't told me she's pregnant. And that's a whole nother thing that I'm trying to deal with because I haven't told her about what I saw in the future. There were so many little secrets that didn't make sense to me. So like, even by the time they told, I'm gonna go off a slight tangent here. By the time that like Tick understands that he may not be Montrose's son, I was like, but the secret ended up kind of being wasted because like it was told, but then it didn't.
Oh, you froze.
It was consequential, but it wasn't.
But like, his mother never really said who the father was.
I know, but either way,
said, you're the best of both of them.
But either way, like it ultimately, like so that's my point though, that like ultimately it didn't matter. right? Like
Yeah.
he had the blood is through his matrilineal line anyway. So it actually who his
So
daddy.
it didn't matter.
It only mattered in the context of like saving Dee, and ultimately her mama saved her. So, but but the secret of the pregnancy, even I was like, why didn't they have that? But again, that's about communication and relationships, right? Like,
yeah.
They have a conversation again about what you saw. You went to the future. You have this book. Why didn't you show it to your now that you know pregnant girlfriend? Like, why keep that a secret? Like, they literally never had a conversation. Well, I guess at some point they did. Like, there are things that they don't have conversations.
I love the way that they went back, and the woman behind Harry, she explains the whole burning house, and that this was her making, and that she could control it. I was like, that. I mean, I think that was probably, if I had to break out favorite moments, that was a favorite moment, that they let us see this over and over again, not understanding what we were seeing and understanding, letting us imagine what was happening. Like maybe, the house was on fire and the slaves had to get out or whatever. And then her explaining that once she understood that this was her rage and it wasn't here to harm her, that she could control it. I was just like, if this ain't a metaphor for every damn thing.
But she was running, and then every time she got to the door to leave, she would turn around and be like, what? Like,
but she would also be saying something, and we never get a sense of what she's saying. But when, like, she doesn't speak until the final episode, which is so cool. Which we're like, what has she been saying to them all along? But like she was telling Letty, like, you're gonna be pregnant, like you're gonna be carrying this lineage on. And then the fact that, like, Letty's like freaked out, like she's getting a different set of instructions, is what they said in the podcast. She's talking to Hattie, who she was with when she burned up in Tulsa. And, Hattie's telling her a different set of things, which is like, you're going to be responsible for this because, like, basically Atticus is going to die. You're going to be responsible for raising the next generation of this and being the protector of this book. And you can't be afraid of your rage the way that Hannah was afraid of hers. You can't make the same mistakes. And I'm like, whoo, we can't make those generational mistakes, ladies.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Then all the generations come back to fuck up the white man. Woo! Get the white man.
Can I get an
You said you are like, banned. Yeah. You are banned from this show.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
This is not the nighttime version of LoveBabz.
But they all come together to annihilate.
And he is still so mad. I'm like, sir, you're dead and you're still mad.
And you're stupid.
He's like, you ungrateful wench. I was like, sir, govern your tone accordingly. You are not in control here. That show is crazy.
So Andrew wanted to let me know he was listening in for a little bit. He said he couldn't follow the discussion because it sounds very interesting. So he said he might try to watch it, which I don't think he would, because I don't think.
Tell Andrew to read the book. Tell him to read the book. He might like to read the book.
I don't know if he would like this, because
he might not like the show, but he should read the book. I feel like you can read sci-fi. I'm not sure how much horror is actually in the book beyond, but it might be more sci-fi. But like, I feel like it's easier to read sometimes, like sci-fi.
Yeah, because that's what I did. I grew up reading sci-fi stuff. Like I grew up reading Star Wars and Close Encounters. Like I read those before I even saw them as movies, because I just had a fondness for that kind of thing. So, and
I'm a big Tanana Reeve Dew fan. So
like, I have a couple of her. So,
Octavia Butler.
Yeah, well, that's my first love right there.
Absolutely.
So,
and just all of that, like all of that is it. Like when I saw the Hippolyta episode, it made me think a lot of, particularly when she was in that little like heart. And she first meets Beyonce. It made me think of Octavia Butler's her Lilith Brood series, where basically there are aliens and all kinds of things in that one. That's my favorite series from Octavia Butler, and it made me think of that.
Yeah. But I love the way that this show gave us ancestor connection. Like they centered that in a way that was very celebratory. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like we've gotten away from that you know,
suggested
honoring
to you that you shouldn't
ancestors.
actually be afraid of that. And you talk a lot with Anru about this when you all have your discussions about African traditional religion, which is that like your ancestors are here to help you. Like I that's the piece that I was taking away from it, that like your ancestors, like talking to your people about your people is a resource. It's not it's not something that you should eschew. So
and that's, you all know, that's always something I believe in, because my grandmother, I always call on their advice, and people, I try to instill that with Raven and my nieces, to like, you got stuff.
You got powerful resources, and even though the ancestors of whose names you don't know, like,
and
there's something to the idea that and sacrifice, of course, is a lot of piece. You talked about the resurrection earlier. Like, sacrifice is such a big piece of this story, and so a lot of people sacrifice a lot of things for you to be here. And you know, when we talk about Montrose and his trauma and all the things that he's battling, like, he's not a perfect person, and you even kind of loathe him in lots of ways, but like, he's a real human who has real traumas, and he is the result of those traumas. But at the same time, like he says it best, like, he's like, I sacrificed a lot for you to even be here. And all of your people sacrificed something, but they weren't perfect people. They had problems with addictions. They had problems with all kinds of other things, and they had problems with being Black in America. So like, it's all there, but here you are. So like, that, again, we always go back to how disrespectful that idea of like, I'm not my ancestors. You know what? I'm not. I wish I were as strong as they were. Like, I probably couldn't endure half the things that they went through.
Right.
So,
and it reminds me of Denise Page's story the other night too. Like, like, it's important to know to find out as much as you can about your lineage and go back to understand like how to move forward. It's a Sankofa time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the cross on the lawn, that could have been the eastern part of Connecticut in the 80s.
or yesterday.
Or yesterday. You know, because there's still people
might be stockpiling wood right now.
I know, right?
Okay, because the area by Lighthouse, that Morris Cove area, just got a little integrated, because there was some mess like that happening in that area of New Haven when I
grew up. You know, they was just very, very, I mean, they wanted to succeed in the whole nine. Yeah. Right? Remember, for a long time they wanted to succeed.
And realtors did not sell to any minority people. They didn't even go, like, when Black or Latino or anybody of color was looking for a house, they didn't even take you out to Morris Cove.
Yeah.
And now there's a few people out there, you know, because I see
quite a few out there.
Yeah. Because them old heads is dying and they can't afford their houses no more. That's why. Like, they had to go. But and their kids probably moved out of town or something and got to get rid of the property. But you know, that's real. And then in some parts of Connecticut to this day
are giving you sundown vibes. Yeah. Listen, if I see a certain sign, and Babz and I were talking about this the other day, it's pretty bad. Like, I see the American flag these days and feel like I see the Confederate flag. Like, I can't, I didn't always feel that way, and I'm a Southern raised girl. You know, so I've lived with the Confederate flag for all my life, and had at least a little. I didn't feel any type of way about the American flag, right? Like, I have two military parents, and you know, we salute the flag. That's what we do. But now, you know, it's just what we do. It's almost like habitual, right? You just do it. But you know, now, like, for me, I see the American flag. I'm not gonna lie, like, it was 4th of July around here. I live in Westville, and you know, some people were going to some kind of gathering. I kept seeing people with American flags, and nobody was Black. I was like, "What is about to happen in my neighborhood?" I felt nervous about it. It didn't make me feel safe as a Black person. So,
yeah.
Put your flag down.
When we took our drive to Maine,
honey. I was like, I don't think we need to be stopped in this part. We just gonna keep driving. We got plenty of gas to get to our destination.
There you go. There you go.
But
Give us
like
some flies
I
with buttermilk.
operate like that even still, like no matter where I go as a Black person, I try not to be on E if I'm in a car. Like, let's go ahead and be on full just in case we gotta keep driving. I remember being with my mother in like Louisiana, and we went into like we had moved to Louisiana. I think we were just like traveling through. I think we stopped to get something to eat, and it's probably in the 80s. But like we went in, and my mother was like hyper aware that it was taking a long time for like us to be like, she's looking at their empty chairs and this woman not seating us. And my mom was like, let's go. And I was like, we're not going to eat. And I'm a little kid. I'm just hungry. It's like, no, we're leaving now. And we went on about our business. I was like, all right. And I don't even remember her explaining that. And speaking of crosses, there was a cross burned at one of my high schools. I wasn't in high school at the time. I was in the 7th grade. But we were a whole school in Louisiana. So it was from kindergarten to 12th grade. And by junior high, you could be in the high school band. And so we had a football game. And literally on the opposite side, someone burned a cross. And when I tell you the whole outside fell silent, but you think what would happen? Like, oh, there's going to be a race riot. We're all going to get to fighting. We all played that football game and went home and never had a conversation about it, never talked about it.
See, the
My
trauma
mother talked
that
to me about it, but I was like, that's crazy. What?
that's the trauma that Black people have like hold in.
Well, that's Montrose's story, right? So when they go back to Tulsa, and he's held, and he sees everything from his father's mistreatment of him to him breaking up with his friend, to the beginning of when the riots, when the massacre
to the killing
starts,
of his friend, like right in front of him. Like
they kill his
friend. Doesn't even tell.
I mean, and he carried that his whole life. And so now you, in those moments, you got to see how this framed and shaped him. This, I need to hide who I am, but I also need to walk in that space of what it means to be a man. And so to be a man means to be hardcore and
to have sons, like
to have a son, and
and
all
it's
of
so
that.
crazy because like in that conversation with him and Atticus, like Atticus and Letty are like, we got to get the book and we got to go. Like, we're not worried. They're not even like connected to what's happening, really. Like the fact that these people are about to die, and the longer they stay there, the more they have to connect to it. They have to connect to the pain of it, right? And it's so well done. It's painful, but beautifully done, right? Like, and that monologue at the end where he's naming the real names of people who actually died in Tulsa. Woo! Michael K. Williams acted his.
I was gonna say Michael K. Williams tears it up.
Yeah,
killed it.
He should get an award too.
Just the emotions, like their faces. Like he all kinds of stuff. I know this stuff has to be done because we got a purpose, but I
can't divorce myself from the trauma of literally reliving this. Could you imagine the worst thing that's ever happened to you and having to go back in time and see it happening to you?
No, I can't.
I wouldn't want to.
No, I don't.
I would have to go be somewhere. I could not be with
survive it. So there's
I would have to be.
My favorite character, one of my favorite characters in this whole project is the wardrobe. I love the wardrobe. That I love the way that people dress, particularly the way the women dressed.
Yeah.
Like I love the care that they took for the bespoke tailoring of things. The way Letty's pants were tailored. The way
Ruby has on those little shorts.
Yes. I mean, she just looked amazing.
Goodness.
Wait, the winter when Jihad and her mother went up the winter coat.
Oh yeah.
Those furs, honey. Yes. Beautiful.
And there was no reference about you're thin and you're fat and you're this. It was none of that. It was everybody
looks beautiful.
Impeccably dressed. Like, a real sense of just a hint of glamour and elegance to that to those clothes. And I was just like, so it took away this idea that even if we were up against things, we didn't have to look like we were so downtrodden. Even though I'm sure there people were, but I love the fact that they paid some attention to how well dressed we as a people show up, and we still do. We still show up well dressed.
And there was that culture of that, right? Like people sewed their own clothes more back then, or retail, or had the skills to tailor something that was store bought to make it fit just right. And you kept your clothes longer, the quality was higher. We live in a very fast fashion society.
And very disposable too.
Very disposable,
we
also very casual, right? Like, we're in the Steve Jobs era of everybody has 5 black t-shirts and 2 pairs of pants, and that's all they wear because uniforms. I was like, what in the capitalist nonsense is this?
But back in the day, like when young and we were going somewhere, we were going to travel somewhere or drive somewhere.
You dressed up.
You got dressed for it.
Like, and that still carried. That carried even through my youth, because my mother did not leave the house without starched jeans. Like, I was like, they're jeans, you don't have to iron. She's like, nope. And when we were as a family going to the mall, for instance, I just want to put on what every other kid wants to put on. She's like, you have to iron those things. Like, iron all the clothes. They look nice, but that it's also it's a protective thing, right? Like, we as black folks,
respectability,
like, maybe
attire is a protection.
I work here, and B, that I'm stealing.
Yeah.
And my mother used to say to me, you ain't going out the house looking like that, representing me. Like,
yep. Also that.
Right. Yeah.
That's not what we do.
Yeah.
That's not what we do. It's like, what I gotta put on.
So nobody had a problem with Hippolyta not being the hero at the end instead of Jihad.
I was okay with that, because the only what do you see? What would have been her?
She's the warrior princess. She should have.
Oh, she was kicking mad behind though. Did you see her wailing on that bridge?
Okay, she was like fighting them.
If she'd had some serious warriors with her, she could have handled it.
Handled it when she went to become in the Greek time. So she was like,
Sis had that shovel, and she was wielding it the same way she was wielding it back in Earth, whatever. Like, sis was kicking some behind. Everybody else was kind of slowing her down.
I look at it as a collective effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Jihad just came to the conclusion, let me get to the steps. Just make sure I get to the steps, y'all.
Yeah, she remembered though, the shaman woman said, like, until you get into the darkness, you're wasting time, basically. And so she was like, that looks like darkness. Let me go over there. Like, I gotta get to those steps. Let me get to those steps. Because I was like, she can't actually have sex with anybody in this scene. Like, we don't have time for that.
Right. She needed the full moon in the darkness.
How are we gonna deploy these tails? Because we don't have time for this. We don't have time for
And you know what? That gave her another way to use her,
to access her powers.
Power, right?
Absolutely.
So now she could really use her power for good, and well, in this instance, for good. And she doesn't have to. I don't want to say sell herself out, but she doesn't sell herself out to call up her power.
Right. She doesn't have to seduce anyone.
Right. Like she can stand in the darkness and be like, all right.
Yeah. And she also doesn't need, someone pointed this out, that like Tick is her 100th soul. So I don't know if that frees her from her powers or what that means, or she gets to be human, but also have these powers. Because remember, like, her mother was pushing her to kill all the men so she could get to the 100th and be human again.
Yeah.
But technically,
so does this get her to human?
Yeah, is she human, or does she have?
And she didn't have family no more because the mother died.
The mother died. Like, yeah.
Let me connect to this, however it is.
Yeah. And what do you do, little George, with your Korean aunt? Like, how do you explain like, oh, that's my aunt. Your aunt is Korean?
Yeah, but you know that. But listen, but that's our story too. You know how we do. We
love to adopt people.
We love, people. Aunties, all kinds of people. Ain't not never bit of blood in people, but you know,
like, we love to adopt people and dub them family. We do. So, yeah, the show was just incredible. It hit all, like, it was such the perfect thing to have to watch and immerse yourself in during this time where there's so much other crazy things going on. Like, meanwhile, on the last and final episode of America,
Right.
It was nice to it wasn't a distraction because it's so relevant, even though it wasn't set in this time. There was still so much about the show that is very relevant for this time.
It also serves like we need spaces that give us strength to move on, and we need to like know and look back on, okay, people went through this and they didn't have cell phones and they didn't have this and that and the third to help them.
They were clever.
It's that, again, I'm repeating myself, saying code for strength, that the resilience of our people and what we have to go through. So whatever's coming, bring it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Like
2020 might have been hard for people.
Diana, if they come for you, make them work for it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Because he's like, they're coming. Like, and I really actually like that speech where he's like trying to talk to D through and I tell people, you know, we be mad at Montrose, but he was the only person in that episode who is a parent, even though he's a bad parent, what we would consider a bad parent. He's the only one trying to be a parent though, because parents know you got to figure out where the kid is. You have to know where the kid is. So he's like, where is D? He's like, but like, okay, I'm gonna go to the house. Like, okay, so D, because all kids come home at some point. Because parents know that type of stuff. So he's the only one like trying to do parent stuff.
Like while y'all was thinking about what you doing,
right? They were all thinking
Where
about
the
themselves and what they needed to do next. And oh, by the way, we're supposed to be watching D. That is some classic non-parent people type of stuff.
Right. And
but he was the only person who was like, how? Oh, Will Catlett. So that I love him. He's been in so many things that I love.
I love
the guy
him
who plays
and he's just fine.
He is fine.
Very handsome.
I love him with a little afro, that little bit of
that mustache though.
That mustache.
I was like,
I mean, it's fine.
You are giving me like waxed mustachio vibes. Like, where did they get this mustache for you? It was great. He was just fantastic. He was like that hardcore, hard, like super tough. Like I love him in he's in Black Lightning.
I haven't seen him in Black Lightning. I haven't watched that in a minute.
A few turns there, which I thought were that he does very, very well. But yeah, I want to see more of him in other things.
Yeah. So, well, this has been good. I've enjoyed this. We spent the whole show talking about Lovecraft Country, and I'm, you know, I hope people enjoyed as much as I did. It's really personal.
Really personal.
You know, my own self-absorption around this show, this project. So thank you. So hopefully, you know, we'll get word of a second season. We'll see what happens. But if not, I've enjoyed this thoroughly.
Yes, and I will watch it again.
I will watch it again. I will watch it again because I enjoyed it so much. I can't guarantee you I'll watch those Babz twins.
Oh, I gotta watch the whole thing.
I gotta watch the whole thing.
But I definitely will watch again. So thank you all so much, Ife, Gardine,
thank you,
Markeisha Ricks. I appreciate that so much. Harry, this was a good show.
Yay, Harry.
KB, say hi, y'all.
Who?
My favorite line. My favorite line is when Tick's in the cabin when those worms or whatever are chasing him.
The monster worms.
The Shoggoths.
When he says, you know, he doesn't have time to be scared because fear's not going to get him out of this situation.
Listen, that's a good metaphor for life.
That is.
and what's about to come in November.
Oh my God.
In 2 weeks.
Right. Oh. Fear's not going to get us out of this.
Vote.
Yeah, I'm dropping off my
unless you're voting for Trump and Pence, don't vote for them. You can stay home. You don't have to go.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Harry. I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't think I have a guest. So, you know, just come hang out and we'll figure it out together. So y'all be well, and I'll see you out here in these streets. Thank you.